All right. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the RePHIL studio. Boy, SB Fillouts 4 here, and let's get our cans ready as usual. Refill to 99. We'll be starting our next set. And for this episode, I have the pleasure and honor to welcome Lumi and Ashlyn to the RePHIL studio. So just as a brief introduction for both of them, Lumi obtained third place in the Live Beyond Poppin'Party Bandori 3 event. And Ashlyne notably has many T100 titles, 3 to be exact, including a 15th place in the Poppin'Party Railgun collaboration event. So for both of you, thank you for taking the time to join the RePHIL studio today.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So before we continue, anything else you two want to add to your intros? Anything I missed? Anything you want to share to our listeners out there?
I guess we're both pretty newish to tiering, I guess. But I'd say that we've done a decent job at it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, again, we'll definitely learn a little bit more about your tiering experiences and how that came to inspire first. But before we do that, of course, for you to get into tiering in Bang Dream, you have to kind of get to know what the game is about first, right? Getting into Bang Dream first. So maybe Lumi, we'll start with you. How did you first get into Bang Dream? How did you hear about the series, and what convinced you to get into the series?
So it was the pandemic that happened in 2020 when we all went into quarantine in March. I started an Instagram account, a drawing Instagram account to share my art, but I wasn't in the Bandori fandom at the time. I was following people who I kind of looked up to in a way, and I saw that one of them, who I wasn't mutuals with, just a follower because I was like a fan of them, they were posting Bandori, and it happened to be the Message for You event, the Poppin'Party Sakura Memories event. And I was like, wow, these characters look really cool. I really like them. And I remember Kasumi and Arisa stuck out to me a lot. And I was like, I really like these two. I think I might just get the game. So I downloaded the game at a sleepover party. It was like June 28th, 2020 by then. I was with my friend. It was just me and them left because all my friends, other ones had left. And I was playing it. I got to the tutorial, absolutely failed, did horrible at the tutorial. My friend was like, you're really bad at this game. You suck. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll get better, to show you. And that's how I kind of got into Bang Dream.
This is a bit of a get tilted by some people who are like, oh, wow, you're not good at the game at all. And competitive spirit kind of got in, eh?
Exactly.
100 APs or something.
Wow. And then, yeah, it definitely sounded like you fulfilled that mission to get better at the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. It's pretty interesting that, in particular, it was the fact that you showed maybe a little weakness in Bang Dream that that people were like, oh, well, maybe not so good at the game. And then you kind of really pushed yourself to improve. But were you also competitive in other games, or was it just just specifically that Bang Dream so happened to be the game that you're like, wow, people, I want to show people that I'm good?
I wasn't really competitive with other games. I think it was Bang Dream just really sparked me to do better and to improve upon things. Fair. Also, other things that was going on. I didn't really have much to do in a pandemic. So I was like, okay, if my summer's going to be boring, I'll dedicate myself to Bang Dream. And I practiced a lot. And after 2 months of playing, I was already APing.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, that's a big Rilla to use in a sense. Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, Ashlyne, let's move on to you. How did you get into Bang Dream, and how did you get to learn more about the series?
So before I was into Bang Dream, I was really into Love Live. I've been into Love Live for maybe 7 or over years, 7 more. I don't know, a long time. So when season 1 of the anime was airing, I had heard about it from similar circles because I was really into idols. So it was similar because I'm like, oh, but they're just a band, but it's still musical type stuff. So I watched season 1 of the anime while it was airing. I didn't even know there was a game of it coming out or anything until the English version came out the next year, and I downloaded it day 1. So my account's really early on, but I was still just very much casual. I was way more into Love Live at the time. I didn't grind events or gotcha all the time. Like I was just very casual with it. But then, similar to Lumi, during the pandemic, I got way more into the tiering aspect of it.
Okay, well, that's honestly quite interesting. The fact that you were able to hear about the series, not necessarily through the game, but actually through the season 1 anime, which is pretty uncommon. I don't think a lot of people get into the franchise because of the season 1 anime. So that's a pretty fun find for you there.
Right.
Wow. So when you first watched the first season, did you had any like big impressions about it? Like, because of course it's related to Poppin'Party. So maybe did Poppin'Party immediately stand out to you? Like, oh, this is a pretty interesting band and such?
Yeah, so definitely. I remember watching the anime and I was immediately drawn to Saya. And to this day, she's still my best girl. And I remember when I got the game, there's all these other bands in the game, but I really already knew Poppin'Party. So I kind of have stuck with them for literally since the beginning.
Wow. So yeah, it's great to hear that, like, Poppin'Party was sort of like a first impression and you're able to like immediately like them, and then that really sort of like convinced you to continue to appreciate the series even as the game is released and more bands are added. But yeah. For sure. Lumi, I know you mentioned earlier as well that, Kasumi and Arisa were sort of like your first impressions going in to the franchise. Did that stick as well? Like, your favorite band, Poppin'Party, and your favorite characters. Like, did that also kind of convince you to be like, okay, well, it's not just me trying to be Rilla. I also really enjoy these characters and the band as well.
Yes. At first, I actually used to be a Yukina stan. I really liked her. But then I realized, like, I don't think Ashlyn knows about this.
No.
It's very different.
But I used to really like her. And then I was like, never mind. Because my first 4-star was Rimi. And that's like what really introduced me to Poppin'Party. And then I got into Rimi, Arisa, and Kasumi, and all the rest of Poppin'Party. And I was like, yes, these people are the one. This band, yes, this is the one. And it really stuck with me. And I did, like, not just played Bandori like for the gameplay and like APs and all that. I also played it for Poppin'Party and their stories and events because their stories really resonated with me, and I loved like their band story. I saw the anime; it was really heartwarming. I loved it so much, and I read a lot of their stories, and I was like, yeah, I really do love this band, and I do want to keep playing for them, and I did.
Yeah. It's so cool to see how people are so inspired by some of the stories that the Bang Dream franchise has shared, because in a sense, like, I imagine you could like resonate with some of the characters, with their stories, and really get to appreciate. And there's just such a big, wide background. So I could definitely see how Poppin'Party could easily resonate with many of their fans, because the fact that they're coming together, form a band, all this Kira Doki Doki, and it's like it's really nice to see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, moving on, of course, not only that you get into Bang Dream and, kind of really appreciate the franchise as a whole and just, the characters as well, but eventually the two of you also got into tiering. So I just want to get to learn about how did that first start? Again, you mentioned earlier in the introduction that tiering is a relatively new kind of experience for both of you. So maybe Ashlyn, we could start with you. How did you first get into tiering?
So I remember the first time I actually really was aiming for a title. I think it was Summer Hello Happy, and I ended up getting top 10,000, and I was so proud of myself. I got a title for the first ever time. And after that, I was like, okay, now I have to do it for Poppin'Party. So it was Halloween Poppin'Party, and I got top 2,500. I was like, wow, that wasn't that bad. And then Lost Toy, I just like kept going with all the Poppin'Party events. I was like, I want to tier. But I was doing this all on my own, just like with Nats just doing it on my own. And then I knew Railgun was coming up, and I was very much wanting to tier that. So I ended up finding a server for it, and that's where it really, really started being in this community tiering.
Okay. And how did you find that server? That seemed like again, for people in the community, like when you're trying to find a server, right? That's like generally like a pretty easy thing to do. But for a first timer, right, trying to find a tiering server or like a tiering community, that's not easy. And even like myself personally, when I first started tiering, I didn't even know that tiering servers existed. I'm not sure, like, how did you kind of dip your waters into that?
So I had a mutual on Twitter, and they were mentioning like Discord servers. I was like, wait, can you like hook me up with this? And so they sent me an invite to Fleet Notes, I believe it was. And there's a server portal in there, and I think that's where I found the Railgun one. So I just joined Railgun, and this was months before the event. So I just like tucked it away in one of my Discord folders, like, okay, I'll use this later. Like, I have it. I finally have the server, so I'm all set.
Well, yeah, that's, again, it's so fascinating to see how new tiers get into the community, because again, once you start to get into a tiering server, right, trying to find other tiering servers is so much easier, because again, each event has their own unique server. But finding that first one is not easy for sure. And I'm kind of glad myself that someone reached out to me to make me realize what tiering servers are, and that's how I joined the first one and eventually got into community from there. But yeah, the first one's definitely not easy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Lumi, is a similar story for you? Like, how did you first get into tiering? What kind of inspired you to tiering? And I'm not sure if it's also the competitive aspect of it or not.
My friend, who I shared a Bandori account with, and we still kind of do sometimes, was invited to and like joined the Hello Happy Summer Discord server, and they were talking about tiering and how they wanted like that event to be their first T100, and I was like, I want to do that too. And they were like, you want to join it? And I was like, I do, but I don't want that one to be my first T100. And I was like, I'm going to ask people for like Poppin'Party servers. And I was going around, and some people were like, nope, I don't have it. And other people were like, what is a tiering server? But I was like, I should have just asked this friend in the first place. So I went back to them, and I was like, do you have any Poppin'Party event servers coming up? And they were like, yeah, I have Railgun. And I was like, I know nothing about Railgun. And I checked like the event when it was starting. It was like starting in 2 days. I was like, this is really last minute of me, but I'll do it. And I have a full 3-star team, not a single 4-star of the attribute. But I'll still do it anyways. And I joined the server, and that was like my introduction to it.
Wow.
Impulsive.
Impulsive Lumi, that's something. Wow. Like, just like literally 2 days before, you like panicked, like, okay, you find something, and then you ended up going for it and tiering for it with definitely a less than optimal team, but
your whole team.
I literally remember you joining the server like 2 days before, and I was like, because we were just mutuals at the time, we weren't really like friends. And I remember seeing Lumi's name pop up. I was like, is that the Lumi from Instagram?
I recognized you, but like I thought Ashlyne was a common name, so I didn't want to be like, are you like the Ashlyne? And you being like, who are you? Like, I didn't want that to happen.
Oh boy. So that sort of like goes into a little bit of the origin story of how you two got to know each other. Seems like it first started from Instagram, and then it really kind of went into things when the Railgun tiering server happened.
It's funny because really the first and only time we had talked before tiering was I had posted on my Instagram story that I wanted to practice more of my Japanese, so I was offering to translate random card stories for people, and Lumi came asking for me to translate the Kasumi and Arisa Railgun stories for them. So that's actually like the first time we ever talked, and then here we are tiering Railgun together, so it was kind of funny.
Wow. Well, that's honestly really cool to see, and it's really neat to see how people, like, especially if you maybe just barely know each other a little bit, maybe online, but then you all kind of come together to tier together, and it really becomes like a really interesting like bonding experience tiering. And I'm sure for the both of you, tiering Railgun together for the very first time, and just being like your first major big tiering event in a tiering community, like a tiering server, I'm sure that was a bit challenging. And there were some, first impression wise, it was maybe a little bit difficult to follow, or maybe there were some nerves coming in as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of nerves at first. I remember I was asking so many questions, and then somebody was like, "It's easy," and then gave like a huge explanation, but I understood nothing, and it didn't help at all. And I was like, I'm gonna do so bad. I'm scared.
They send like a 20-page efficiency guide, and you're like, what do I do?
I was like, oh, what's a gnat?
I didn't even know what a gnat was until after Railgun.
Me either.
The jargon and tiering community and tiering servers is absolutely ridiculous. Like, again, we're trying our best to make it easier for people to understand, but let's be honest, on a first impression, nothing makes any sense. Like, all the words you use just makes no sense. But,
exactly.
Yeah, but for both of you, like, maybe Ashlyne in particular, again, like, let's start with you in tiering, like your impression of the tiering community, tiering server. What was that like, and how did that gradually turn into like, okay, well, this isn't so bad, and maybe tiering isn't so bad?
So joining the server, like an event first starting, there's so many people in it, and I was very overwhelmed because, people are like doing all the whole like efficiency thing and like scheduling, like when you're going to be in what group or whatever. And I was like, this is insane. It's kind of funny because I remember looking back on like one of the first messages I sent in that Railgun server. I was like, hey guys, I'm going to aim for top 1,000. And then I ended up getting T15 or whatever. So yeah, it was definitely very intimidating at first, but once you're actually in like the groups and filling for people, and you like are actually getting to talk to them and get to know them, it definitely helps relax you a lot.
So you ended up definitely shaving off a few zeros of that rank. Just a couple of zeros, yeah. And Lumi, what about you? You already shared a bit of your first impressions, but how did that, I guess, ease in as the event kept going? Again, Railgun, if I recall, it's an 11-day event. You get to get really comfortable with each other. So how did that really like sort of evolve into you kind of realizing, well, this is like a pretty nice place, and I want to continue tiering and such?
I realized that they were like very supportive, and like when tiering a lot, I remember as like our efficiency got better, they would like be really supportive, and they'd be like, wow, baby tier is getting so good at efficiency. And I remember just feeling like welcomed, and I felt really comfortable in the Railgun server. It's like, this isn't really like that bad after all, and I don't feel quite as lonely when tiering by myself, and I really want to continue doing this because you make a lot of friends. It's a great experience in the end. And some of those experiences you'll like never forget, and like a lot of the things that you learn through tiering too really helps. And it's a really great experience. And it's something I really did enjoy and like grew to love.
Yeah, for sure. Be playing like tiering by yourself. It really is it's honestly quite tiring when you're just not really like, with anyone. You're just kind of doing this all yourself. But like, again, a tiering server, what makes the community so great is just the fact that you're able to kind of work together and have people to support you, and you support each other, and be able to work together. That kind of, bonding, despite the fact that it's just like playing the same song over and over again for hours to no end, but that surprisingly adds like a bit of sense of bonding. It's weird. It's a weird experience for sure, especially for a first tiering, but like it really does make things quite nice and fun for people when they tier. Yeah. So, for both of you, and either of you can answer if you think, what would you say was the most difficult part of tier? Again, both of you mentioned again, you were like sort of baby tiers. Everyone called you baby tiers at the start. This is like your first experience getting into it. So like, what would you say was like the most difficult part about initially starting to tier, and why?
Definitely just like the self-care aspect of it. You have to make sure you're hydrated, getting enough rest. Literally, I remember in the very beginning, I didn't mute my phone, so I would hear A to Z for like 3 hours straight before I realized that was a thing I could do. I could just mute it, and it saved a lot of insanity for myself. I literally remember going to bed like the first couple nights, and I would just close my eyes and see the like beat map of the notes like coming towards me. It's not good.
Oh man, Hallucinations is not great, especially again if you're playing the same song over and over again. As much as A to Z is a bop and I love the song, but like, yeah, Hallucinations with A to Z, especially with long hours at end, is not it's not pleasant. I know. Again, in the past, one of our earlier guests who joined the podcast, he had his roommate, and his roommate was just hearing him play A to Z hours at end, and eventually, she was getting nightmares of A to Z as well. So it's not just to hear it themselves, but the person maybe around them, family, they might also be starting to get sick and tired of hearing A to Z over and over again.
Right.
Yeah, so self-care is definitely very important, especially if you're playing on hours at end. And Lumi, I imagine for you, you have to play on hours at end, especially with the team that you had to like make up for the fact that you have to get more event points. What else was difficult about it? In your mind?
Yeah, definitely I agree with the self-care part, and also the time management as well, because that's like the second time my internet friend was coming down to where I lived, and like to meet my friend group for the first time. We have already met, but they were gonna meet my friend group, and we were all gonna hang out for the entirety of the week, doing different things every like day. That's when Railgun was happening, and I had to like time manage that, and also tiering with my really bad team, trying to get MVP as fast as possible with all the competition, and also like time management and self-care. I forgot to drink water, forgot to eat properly, and when we went to the park on like the second to last day, I passed out.
Oh no. Oh no.
So that was not pleasant for my first experience, but I remember that night I was like in like one of the chats with like a few of the T10s and like Podium, and I was like, I'm ready to tier again to like help track you guys, the help track, and they were like, no. They were like, go to bed. No. I just remember it just being so dedicated.
What a first impression to your well, maybe not first impression, but like a decent impression that your internet friends have. It's just like, oh well, out of nowhere we have Lumi who just out of nowhere just passed out.
They were like, what's going on? Like they're like, you're so like good with weather, you're so happy. And like there was a video of us all dancing to like Hella Wake, I think, like 10 minutes before it happened, and they were like, what happened?
We were dancing out, and
the next second it's just me in front of a gas station like, this was a mistake, this is why you don't do impulsive things.
Oh boy. Yeah, so again, to our listeners out there, to our viewers out there, again, tiering at first definitely could be a little frightening, but again, the community is really nice, but you do have to make sure you take care of yourself. Life is certainly more important than yeah, exactly. Tapping A to Z over and over again. Your health is very important, and Railgun is, I don't know what's up with Railgun in particular. Railgun took some casualties. We had another guest in the past who joined in and said that because of Railgun he got carpal tunnel as a result. So yeah. So yeah, I think Railgun is a deadly event for whatever reason.
It was a great introduction for us to the world of tiering.
Especially given the fact it was 11 days. Like, that's a lot of stress. That's 2 weeks of stress.
Yeah.
Oh,
bad.
Man. Oh, man.
I should have listened to those hydration chats.
Yeah, what those people, big shout outs to those who just like out of nowhere be like hydration check for the most part. Like I'd say like 90% of the time you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember, we're good. But then at that one time when that one person reminds you, be like, oh yeah, that's right, you gotta.
It's like, when was the last time I had water? Right.
yeah. But again, it's just so cool to see how much, like, even though that you were able to get into the tiering community relatively new, that you're able to bond with people, make new friends, and be able to get the support from people inside the server, inside the community, and maybe outside as well. Yeah, well, that's again very, very great to hear. So again, thank you for sharing that, and again, for both of you, you're able to get I believe it was 14th and 15th place, Lumi and Ashlyn respectively, and in Railgun. So right, hand holding right there. Yeah,
hand holding through the pain.
Again, for a first tiering event, I don't think you parked probably in the event.
No, I remember I wanted to park, and we were like talking in the tracking chat, and Ashlyn and I were like talking about wanting to park, and like one of the podium Railgun players was like, parking is not necessary. They were like, just don't worry about it. I do not care. They were like, just don't park. And we were like, okay.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe we won't.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we did, though.
Yeah, that would have been really nice. Again, like a first tiering event could also be like a park, and such. And wait, was it a mission live, or was it
Live
live
goals,
was
I
it?
believe.
Oh, live goals. Yeah. So that was using Bandori, and that's a whole other beast in its own right to like set up and such.
We did not even know how to park if we wanted to. So.
No, not at all. Plus, I was at the amusement park the very last day of Railgun, so
Yep.
I couldn't have parked if I wanted to.
Yeah, well, it's good to enjoy time with people in real life, and yeah, it's quite nice. Did you happen to share with your friends, Lumi, that maybe they probably would have learned from you passing out that you were trying to tier for Railgun, but did they feel like, oh, this is a really cool achievement that you're able to do that?
Yeah, they were like very like happy, and like they were like, this is really cool, like you're dedicated to this, and like it's really cool that you're doing this. But also at the same time, when I brought up my next tiering plan to them, my one friend was like, oh, Lumi, no, this is not a good idea. Remember what happened during Railgun? How about we don't do this?
and that kind of probably leads to the next event, which was probably Live Beyond, which we'll talk about very soon. So before we move on and talk about that, maybe let's get like a bit of a timeline of like your tiering events after. So again, Lumi, that was like your next big one. Ashlyne, which was Live Beyond, but Ashlyne, for you did a few like other tier hundreds between that, right? And so like after Railgun, what kind of convinced you? Oh, I kind of want to do some tier hundreds and maybe like try to get more tiering titles.
So I definitely just wanted to tier more Poppin'Party events. So the one right after Railgun was Welcome to Open School. And that was a very last minute impulse as well, because everyone was expecting the One of Us, Afterglow event. But that got delayed for quite a while.
Just a little bit,
And I'm pretty sure Open School, it was during I had 3 exams that week. But I was like, you know what? Who cares about my real school? I'm gonna do the open school. And that was a challenge.
That was a challenge live, yes.
And that was my first time ever doing that. I got T30 for that, which I didn't think it was that hard, honestly. I think there wasn't much competition because it was an unexpected event coming out of nowhere. And then the event I tiered after that was Valentine's Poppin'Party. I got a flameless top 500. And then after that, I got top 100 in Live Beyond to support Lumi.
Wow. Yeah. So that definitely connects right there. To get your T100 title, relatively similar, like both getting the same T100 title together in your first tiering event, and then there's Live Beyond as well, which is definitely quite nice. So I want to ask, because TF 500 flameless, that is a big achievement. I believe Valentine's was a VS live, so it makes sense to flameless that. And again, for those we talked about jargon already and such in the tiering community, but for those who are unaware, flameless is when you play the game and tier without using any extra resources like cans or stars to refill energy. It's literally just playing with 0 flames and all the natural flames that you generate through time and such. So I'm not sure how that was for you. Like, that seemed like a really big time commitment. It seemed like it was a pretty difficult challenge. Maybe your most difficult challenge to date before. So how was that overall?
It was fine, honestly. I got 369, which I could have got really close to getting top 300, but I didn't. I didn't want to spend any like cans to bother doing that. But it was just like at a time where I was just really bored, so I was like, I have nothing better to do. I'll just play a lot. So.
Hey, you get a lot of cans, right? You get a lot of resources for that, so. Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. And again, for both of you, it just seems like even though you were like both relatively new to the tiering scene, but again, as mentioned by many members, it just seemed like you had a really good knack at things when it comes to, efficiency, when it comes to playing for long hours. I guess if any newer tiers out there are listening, like what kind of advice would you give to both to newer tiers about like, how do you stay sane for playing long hours at end and just keep playing over and over again?
Lumi, how do you stay sane when you
It was hard. Definitely was hard. I think it's definitely to like make a schedule and like remember to give yourself breaks, and also calling with people and listening to a playlist of your favorite songs, so you're not listening to A to Z over and over again, because that kind of drives you insane after a while. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I remember I listened to a lot of IME, and that helped a lot, and I voice chatted a lot with friends, and that also really helped with both IRLs and like friends from like CNC and all of that, and that kept me sane through it all. So my advice would probably be to like hydrate, of course, to like eat and make sure you're like staying healthy, and to definitely don't push yourself. Remember that when like your body feels like it's time to rest, then let it rest, because pushing yourself will not do you any good.
For sure. Yeah, just kind of pace yourself. Test your limits, because I think for both of you, just I guess your first experiences in Railgun, then learning a little bit more about your other tiering experiences after really helped in terms of building what you needed to know about yourself before tiering Live Beyond.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Okay, well that's really good. Very, very good advice there. And again, chatting with people, finding ways to like, kill the time without just hearing A to Z over and over again. And Lumi, I guess the strategy is reject Maishima Ami, embrace Aimi. That's sounds like a pretty valid strategy. Ashlyne, anything else you would like to add to that, or just kind of building on what Lumi said?
Definitely just take it at your own pace. You don't need to feel like you need to be as good as these people who have been tiering for years, getting top 10s and podiums all the time. If you're new, just take it as you can, do what you can. You definitely should not push yourself in any way.
For sure. Yeah. Well, again, great advice from newer tiers to new tiers maybe in the future who are listening to this podcast. So thank you for that. Hey, everyone. It's Phil here. Hope you enjoyed the episode so far. As a reminder, the RePHIL Studio podcast is available on all of your favorite platforms. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and make sure to give that high rating or the thumbs up whenever you do, because helping the podcast increase its reach to other viewers is greatly appreciated. In terms of other content, check out my VODs channel, the card description above. Consider subscribing to check out other content. And also, if you want to be a part of the content, join the Anga Academy Discord server, links in the description below, where you can contribute to the studio question every week and interact with special guests featured on the podcast. So looking forward to seeing you there. Last but certainly not least, a big shout outs to all of my Filler Nation members who've been constantly supporting me in my content. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and you get shout outs on pretty much every podcast episode. So thank you so much for your support. If you really like my content and would like to support me, join the Filler Nation by either subscribing to my Twitch channel or by joining my Patreon. Links in the description below. There's also a new feature. You can give a super thanks through my YouTube, so you could do that as well. Any support is greatly appreciated. Let's get back to the episode. let's move on and talk about the big event, which is Live Beyond, which is Lumi, your big achievement in getting third place in that event. But, you know, again, as you mentioned, right, or as we've talked about many times, you were, you know, relatively new to the scene, and you haven't really done any major tiering prior to Railgun, and then bam, you were invited to get a T3. So how did that all start? How did you get invited to join a roster and eventually get a podium spot available for Live Beyond, which again, I imagine is a really big, important event for you?
I remember it was the middle of January, but it had gone back before that. It was like July of 2021, right after Railgun. I was like, I want to tier Live Beyond T100 because that won't be too bad. I remember I was like, Ashlyne, we got to find a server together. And we found this one server, but like they kind of disbanded. So there was no server. And I was like freaking out. I was like, Ashlyne, it is September. We still haven't found a Live Beyond server. And we were like hunting for one. And then I joined one, but I didn't really do anything a bit with it until like January. I was like kind of going through like a rough time, just laying around in bed. I was like, not feeling the greatest. And I was like, you know what? I'm feeling impulsive again. And I was like, hey, Ashlyne, what if I like join this roster? And Ashlyne was like, Lumi.
No, yeah, because I checked the roster and at the bottom it was like one slot available. And we, like,
I remember I DM'd Untitled and I was like, hey, it's like roster so open. Can I be a part of roster? And I showed my team and my resources. So it was like, ooh, the star count is real low, and like all your experience is like Railgun. Are you sure you're ready for this?
Are you sure?
I was like, yeah. And I was like, you sure? You sure? And I was like, yes, I want to do this. And I got invited, and I was like, Ashlyne, I did it. And then like it kind of hit, and I was like, I'm doing this. Oh no. And then the whole schedule changed too with Live Beyond. I also freaked out on Ashlyne because I had like planned myself a schedule when Live Beyond was coming to make sure like things wouldn't get in the way as much as they usually do with my schedule. And then the whole schedule change happened, but it was a more of like advantage for me instead of a disadvantage because the internet went down at my school where my classes happened because our internet got like hacked. So all the internet went down for like 2 weeks. My 150-point research paper, which I got an A on, got delayed. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do Live Beyond. We had a 4-day weekend. So I was like, okay, I'll do Live Beyond. And it was really rough at first because it was the night of like school. I didn't nap. I had like just got back from school. I wasn't sleeping. I was like tearing. And by like 3 a.m., I was like extremely out of it. And at one point, I even chose teardrops instead of A to Z. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah,
everybody in G1 chose special, and because not knowing what it was, they all failed, special, including me. They're like, Lumi, we just started. What is happening? And I remember it was like, I gotta sleep. And I was like, I'm sleeping. And my friend Vince, who I think is listening, woke me up the next morning. And I remember I was like on a roll. We were both doing pretty good. And like I think Vince was also impulsively tearing Live Beyond. And we were like talking for a bit. And Vince was like, good morning. And I was like, why did you wake me up? I don't want to wake up yet. And then after like a while, I remember I was like breakfast time. Vince sent me an image. And I was like, oh, what is this? It's a JPEG. And it was the like third place Live Beyond title. Vince was like, don't you want this title, Lumi? Like, don't you really like how this JPEG looks, Lumi? Like, don't you want to like get this title? I was like, I only have one T100, but I was like, that is a really pretty title. I was like, I don't really have the funds either. And Vince was like, I know you want this JPEG, Lumi. And I was like, oh man, I really do want this. So I went for it. And after like a day or two of like something happening, I was finally accepted on the podium roster, and I was going for my first podium, and I got the JPEG.
Wow! What a roller coaster of emotions there. Well, big shout outs to Vince, who definitely whale-fluenced you. In that.
I was very nervous too, because like before it was like even confirmed, I spent $100 on a lot of paid stars that I never ended up using for Live Beyond.
Oh no!
Which really hurt in the end. Remember I was talking to Adodo, and Adodo was like, that was a really, really bad impulsive decision. I was like, I know, but now I have all these stars for miracle tickets, but that's $100 I could have.
You could blame a Toto because a Toto right up the bat be like, that star count looking kind of low.
Yeah, true.
But then that JPEG too, though.
Knowing a Toto, I'm not as surprised at all that he said that, but it's like at the same time, it was like pretty funny how it kind of backfired. But Ashlyne, you were kind of wanting to add a bit to the story here. It seemed there was a lot of parts where like, this part seems to be interesting.
I just remember leading up to Live Beyond, Lumi was like the most panicked mess I've ever seen them, because I mean this in a nice way, because you were so like scared you weren't even gonna get top 10, and I had to keep reiterating like, you're gonna get top 10, you're gonna get top 10, and then you freaking got top 3. Like it was just like a very, very like, what is the word? I don't even know. It was a roller coaster of a week for sure.
Impulsive.
That too.
Well,
yeah.
If you were to be very, very specific, Lumi did not get a T10. Technically.
Oh,
I went from like T100 podium.
Lumi top 10 win.
Yeah, when is going to be your first T10 title, huh?
Kasumari 3.
Oh.
Waiting
room hype. Yeah, that future events we'll certainly talk about very soon before that. But yeah, again, Lumi, it's just so cool to see that you're able to get that title, being able to get T3, get a little bit of influence from other people, and that's one thing again with the tier community. You got to be a little bit careful of choose your friends wisely, because some of your friends will definitely whale-fluence you if you're not careful.
It was very nice in the end, though, being able to talk to them too, and also go alongside them. But like, sure. I was like going through it mid-event. I was like, oh, this feels like forever. 6 days feels like an eternity. And like, wow, I really liked it. I remember I was like, when will this end? When will this end? I am missing so much schoolwork.
Oh my gosh.
I remember my one teacher like sat me down one day and was like, what is going on this entire week? You've been in like a different universe. I was like, do I tell them?
You tell them, I am currently playing Bang Dream Girls Band Party for the mobile device. I'm playing this event called Live Beyond.
It was a JPEG.
Oh boy. Wow.
And my friends thought I was crazy too.
Oh,
like
no.
Giving me food and everything, extra food for the support. They were like, we know what happened during Railgun, so here's some extra food that you like. And I was like, thanks.
That's how you get free snacks.
Wow. It must mean that you might end up becoming a pretty big celebrity at your school after.
My friends gave me like fist bumps and all, and they were we are so proud of you. And then they gave me more food. They were like, time to rest, but here's more food. It's a Friday. Whoa!
Let's go. That's awesome. Just to hear all that support, both like in the community and also like IRL, that's just what makes tiering such a fun activity. Just the support that everyone gets together and be able to work together to help. And I'm sure you're very grateful for all the fillers that came in to help, all the people to come in and probably maybe chatted you on VC and just be able to support you throughout the journey.
Yeah, exactly. I am really grateful because a lot of the times too, I'd be like, I'm coming at like 3 p.m. and I'd come at like 3:15 because I was like eating really, really slowly. And I'm really grateful for everybody who was like really patient with me and everything.
For sure.
And also my IRLs too for having to deal with me like pulling all-nighters, especially my one IRL who woke up like 7 a.m. just to call with me to make sure I wasn't going insane. And that was the same IRL. I messed up my park. My park was originally going to be Aimee Park and Aimee Park. But I messed up my park, which was in a Toto's.
Oh no!
Lumi died.
We lost Lumi!
Lumi. Wait.
Oh no!
They're requesting to join.
Let's bring him back.
Hello?
Can't you hear us? Oh no, we've lost Lumi.
It's just another like thing to add to the pile.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. we love the technical difficulties. Maybe while we're waiting for Lumi, Ashlyne, is there anything that you want to add in terms of, you know, your background or your story to, you know, why you wanted to tier Live Beyond and what kind of convinced you to go for top 100?
So originally, me and Lumi were talking about T10ing it together. But that didn't happen. I didn't, like, it was like, whatever. There's only one roster spot left, and I know this event is, like, super important to Lumi, so I'm very proud that they got T3. So originally, I was gonna just do top 300, and I thought it would be cute because, like, oh, we have the matching threes, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I was getting very, very close to top 100, so I was like, you know what, I want to just push into it. Like, I can do it. So me and Neon were, like, really pushing the last hour. We kept grinding to top 100, so luckily we were able to do that.
Wow. Last minute, again, impulse is sort of like a trend when it comes to both of you and your stories of tiering. But yeah, that's really neat to hear that. Any other like notable like times, like any notable like kind of moments during that, like, you know, 6-day grind?
Probably, I remember Vince. He joined the top 10 roster.
Okay,
and he was literally like spot number 10, but he was getting voted. But he was asleep. So we were trying to get him to wake up, and it was so funny because like he was literally in a call too in CNC. So we were like trying to be as like loud as, or no, it's another server, but like people were like putting in music bots to like super loud to wake him up, and like Neon was like spamming him with Steam game invites. And we like made so many different group chats just spamming his like Twitter and everything.
Oh boy. Imagine Vince is like, okay, influence someone to get T3. My job is done. Goodbye. Right. And he just passes out. Yeah, tiering is not easy. You gotta stay disciplined. You gotta stay awake. You know, you have to be awake to tier. So yeah. Lumi, are you back?
Lumi mic broke.
I think their mic broke. Oh no. Well, you know, technical difficulties is not you know, something out of the realm of impossibility here. It's a rare occurrence, but it's pretty fun or interesting to see what's happening here. But
it's honestly funny because when you messaged me that our original recording got deleted, I feel like I'm so used to like bad things happening to me that like I wasn't even fazed by it. Like,
oh no!
It's funny because like whenever, for example, if I go to a restaurant, my order is always wrong. Like I'm just so used to that. It's funny because like my boyfriend and his family like have dubbed it the Ashlyne curse. So literally, when I got your message, I literally said out loud to myself, I was like, "This is the Ashlyne curse."
Oh no! Yeah. For those listening to this recording on our podcast or on YouTube, this is actually the second time we're doing this because again, there were some other difficulties in the first time we did this. So. You know, Ashlyne, I think, although maybe that the curse exists in some cases, it didn't happen in your tiering, it seems. You know, you were able to get your goals that you got. You never got really boated in a sense before. So maybe in that aspect, the curse has been lifted.
Yeah, I sure hope I don't get voted.
So yeah, but big shout outs to you and getting a T100 there with, you know, grinding with Neon, not getting voted, right? So that's super, honestly, a lot of fun there. Lumi's mic, order to Lumi.
Lumi's like panic messaging me. I don't know how to fix this though.
So what might end up happening is we'll just we'll wrap up pretty soon. Oh, there we go. Wait,
is it working? Is it working?
Yeah, it's working now.
Yay, I put your butts on. Okay.
Okay, awesome. We got you back.
My bad for those technical difficulties. My phone has been acting weird all day.
Oh, no. All good. Well, it's great to have you back. We lost you in the middle of the set, but you're synced now, right?
Yeah, pop up.
So Lumi, you're mentioning your story with your IRLs, I think, about your T10 and such. T3, sorry, yeah.
My accidental park, because I accidentally I was gonna park on IME Park 318 because that was the day Restarting, I think, was released on her YouTube channel, and also like the ending of Live Beyond, and I was like, this is pretty basic, but also like holds dear to me, and I missed my park. I was like in a room and I was like trying to get closer to my park, but I didn't know that we were we were being not like efficient, and everybody like full comboed except me, and my EP was like, oh, and I like overshot my park, and I was like,
oh no.
I was like, oh no, but it was an accidental park on the IRL who like woke up at 7 a.m. just to cheer with me, a day that we all hung out with. So I was like, this is a great accidental park. Nobody will know about this. It was in Toto's thank you letter.
Wow.
He's like, you're good at everything except parking, and I was like, darn.
Oh, Toto! Why is Toto so savage? and he'll maybe we'll get him on the podcast. I'll try and convince him, but we'll see. Yeah, but Lumi, again, big shout outs to you getting T3 in that event. It's just, again, it's really cool, especially for Band Story 3. It's just, I think for people, especially getting Band Story 3 titles, is just so special because, Band Story 3s are special, right? You're doing it for the band you love, in this case, Poppin'Party, and doing it for them. It's just so cool to see that you're able to get that title. So big shout outs to you there. And again, although parking is a work in progress, you'll eventually get it.
I did improve from last year too, because I remember I got voted really badly on Live Beyond last year on JP. I wanted T2000 to match with my Welcome to Open School T2000 because I liked how the titles looked. But I got voted to rank 2024 the last day because my friend, coincidentally, the friend who woke up 7 a.m. to help me cheer, fell asleep on my tablet the last 2 hours of Live Beyond on JP. So I was like, no! I was like, I can't cheer. So I got voted.
Unlucky.
Ranked 3,000, got T3000, and I was like, next year I will make a comeback. T100, and I was like, wait. T10. I was like, wait, T3. This will match with my T3000 title. And it did. Yes. And I was happy that I got to make a comeback like that because that vote drove me crazy for the longest time.
Well, that's amazing. Again, some people might find the boat to be very sort of, I guess, depressing, maybe demotivating, but it's just really inspiring to hear that you use that as fuel to sort of, push yourself and be like, this is the title I want. This is the achievement I want. So it's really cool to hear that. Yeah.
Exactly. For Kasuari.
For Kasuari, indeed. So yeah, big shout outs again. And again, big congrats on your T3. So anything else that you two want to add in terms of anything we missed about Live Beyond? Anything else notable?
I don't know.
Let me think about I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, hopefully, the next time when you park, my video will work.
Yeah.
Well, being able to follow what I did. I think in our last discussion, you tried following it, but it didn't quite work out. Yeah. So
that's just user error, though.
Oh yeah. I remember when we got right after Live Beyond results came out, I went to bed because I had school the very next morning because it was Friday.
Oh yeah.
I woke up at 4 a.m. to messages. Someone was spamming me. I was like, who is spamming me at this time of day? I gotta wake up in 2 hours. I took my messages. They were all from Ashlyne. She was like, I got T171. You got T3. And then Ashlyn was like, I'm crying, Lumi. I'm crying. And I was like, Ashlyn, I love you, but I got school in 2 hours.
I was crying. I was so proud of them.
I was like, I want to cry, but I'm tired after doing this for like 60 plus hours and then having to do school. But I was like, thanks, Ashlyn. We did this together.
Yeah.
It's so amazing how like just playing the same song over and over again, tapping stuff on a screen could build like these such great friendships with people and just bonding experience you get. It's just really fascinating. So that kind of tearing bonding experience. But yeah, thank you both for sharing that. So just before we wrap up, we do have a studio question that I want to discuss. So at the end of each episode and every week, we discuss a studio question that I ask my Discord server members about in terms of, you know, a really fun question to answer. And I'll ask this to you as well. And the question is, let me get it out here real quick. So again, in Bang Dream, we have extra songs, which is basically when the original artist of a song, sings the song with a Bang Dream band and cover it together. So if, let's say, you are responsible for setting up round 2 of these extra songs, which artist and band would you like to see together? It's a pretty wide choice, wide net to choose from, but maybe Ashlyn, we'll start with you. Any particular thoughts about that?
I finally thought of one because last time I couldn't.
Wow!
Are you proud of me? So I really like this one J-pop band called Nekaraitaki. So maybe they could collab. Okay, I still don't know which band though. Wait, maybe if they did it with Reze Sulin, that'd be funny.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Like the contrast in their voices would be like really cool.
Yeah. I think so too. Do you have a particular song like that you would want to hear, or?
I don't know about that.
You know, brainstorm, work in progress. Once we all get promoted to work at Bushiroad, we'll think about it then, right?
Well, Lumi already works there, like undercover.
Oh, really?
My dream. Yes, the dream. That's also the dream. I forgot to mention this along with the Live Beyond thing, but it was like a month before Live Beyond happened. Ashlyn had a dream, and Ashlyn DM'd me and was like, "Hey, Lumi, I had a dream where we did a Poppin'Party event together, and you got T3. I don't know what event it was, but you got T3." And I was like, Ashlyn, I don't have the funds. I'm still in school. I am young for this. I am not getting a T3. I was like, this is going to stay in your dreams. And a month later, I was like, Ashlyn.
The prophet. Well, that's honestly pretty funny. That's a pretty funny story. So the curse maybe kind of ended up becoming an actual good thing. You know, it actually came true. Yeah.
That and also predicting the entire Live Beyond set attributes and all.
Oh, that wasn't a prediction. You like hacked into their servers.
Wow. Well, Lumi, what about you? Do you have an answer to that question, the studio question?
Yes. I want Poppin'Party to collab and have an extra type song with I don't know the pronounce her name. I'm going to try my best. Shoku Nakagawa. They've actually covered one of her songs before, which was Severio Days. And I really like her song Dori Dori, and I realize it fits Poppin'Party and especially Kasumi a lot with the lyrics, like wanting to shine and sparkle and like looking up at the stars and like trying to follow your dreams, even with like downsides and like ups and downs sometimes. I was like, wow, this really fits Poppin'Party. And I've loved this song since I was like really little, since it first came out. And this would be a lovely song to like collab with Poppin'Party. And they've covered one of her songs before. So I would love this. And they should do it.
Oh, well, that's a good idea. Grabbing an artist that they've covered the song before, definitely more likely that's going to happen. So yeah, let's see if that becomes a thing. Maybe again, the fact that you have some hacking access to Bushiroad, maybe we'll see this later in the year. as for me myself, I had a chance to think about it myself because I realized I didn't answer the question myself. And of course, I forgot to mention that the responses from our members will be on the screen as well on our YouTube channel or on the video to kind of share what their thoughts on. But for me, I thought about it a bit, and I think one of my favorite artists is Chico with Honeyworks. I love Chico so much, and like her songs, there's like 4 of her songs already in the game. So like, there's not a lot more songs that we could choose from to make an extra song, but yeah, I think her with either like Pass the Palettes probably. But yeah, there's a couple of songs in mind that I'd probably would love to have like an extra song with Chico. So that would probably be my answer. The other like answer would be like a really obvious like Lisa, for instance, because her songs are really popular, and just have like Roselia cover or Ras cover. It's just like a very easy answer. So, but yeah. Okay, well, again, for both of you, thank you so much for taking the time to join the studio today. Before we go, I just want to give maybe some idea to our viewers out there. Maybe are there any future plans or future events that either of you two want to hear and that you want to share in the future for that you're going to do in the future for our viewers?
Sure. So, well, actually, in like 2 minutes, I'm gonna top 100 Zombieland.
All right.
1 minute?
1 minute now?
Now it's 1 minute. All right, we gotta move quickly here.
I also I plan to top 10 the summer Poppin'Party event, and also me and Lumi together want to at least top 10 the Taysai event next year.
I like that event. The fact that like Tai is kind of like kind of taking care of Saya's little siblings there. I like that event. So
I know, right?
It's so cute. It's so cute. Yeah. Lumi, any plans? There's that event already. Is there any other plans, or is that just going to be the main one so far?
Depending on my schedule, because I'm like really busy. I do want to do How My Heart Sings, the Pure Type Custom Remy event, because my Pure Type Pobiba event is like really, really good, and I really want to do something with that. And that event also means a lot to me, with like Remy's like struggle with MC and also like trying to overcome that anxiety. And like someone who also like goes through the same struggles as Remy, it like that event really hits close in the song PP Limit too. I was like, I really want to do this event, so I'm gonna probably try. I don't know what the rank so far I want to go for, but I definitely want to do this event with my team and like my motivation. I do want to do it.
All right. Well, for both of you, again, all the best. Good luck on your future tiering events. And I'm sure, again, and our listeners out there, if you want to support our guests here and their dreams and their plans to get these titles in the future, feel free to join the Young Academy Discord server where all our special guests are featured in. You can contact them. I'm sure they'll appreciate your support. So we're gonna wrap things up now because we got some tiering to do. So any last shout outs to any last shout outs, any last words do you want to share to our viewers before we go?
Big shout out to CNC.
Yeah, for sure. You two are definitely not the first to CNC. Many people from CNC joined us today in the studio or the past couple episodes ago. So
shout out to everybody who came to listen to our podcast. I really appreciate you all who came here, especially before Zombieland Saga. I love all of you. Thank you. And shout out to CNC and you two guys, especially you, Neon and Vince. Thank you. I really appreciate you too. And also shout out to my IROs who will probably watch this eventually. They're at the awards ceremony right now that I didn't get invited to, so they'll watch this later. So shout out to them.
Well, you already have an award. That award is T3 Live Beyond. So whatever.
But you have your trophy.
Yeah, you have your trophy.
And shout out to you too, Shubi.
Yeah, so big thanks to both of you for joining the studio today. This will conclude our set, so thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the RePHIL Studio. Get your cans ready. We'll be ready to refill on the next set when available, but until then, thank you so much for listening. Remember to check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff, and join the Young Academy Discord server as well. So take care, guys. We'll see y'all on the next set. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.